What's up everyone, we're going to be going to the best NBA player props on Prizepicks today. Now I did want to show you the results from yesterday's picks from my exclusive Discord group, and as you guys see, we actually got 16 picks correct, which is absolutely insane. So we're on a huge hot streak, but if you want to get 16 picks right like me, win more bets and receive the best picks from some of the best bettors in the world for less than a cup of coffee, you can access the exclusive Discord and meet some of the best sport bettors in the game by joining my Patreon, should be linked down below in the description. Once you join, you'll have complete access to the Discord and can start winning more bets today. So make sure to join my Patreon using the link in the description. And here's one of our members who just signed up and won himself $1,000 just yesterday, and another member who won $179 for the 6th day in a row since joining my Discord. So guys, if you want to win big money like our members here, the link will be in the description, so go join the Patreon to have access to the Discord group, and I will be continuing to upload every single day on this channel the best bets and props, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss my daily uploads. Alright, so let's get straight into the first pick. And when it comes to these picks, I'm not saying to chuck all of them into a parlay and hope for the best. Pick and choose the ones that you like and the ones that work best for you. So the first pick we're going to be talking about is Karl-Anthony Towns, and this one is actually for 13.5 rebounds, and this one actually is for less. Now, when we look at Karl-Anthony Towns, we do see that he has gone on the under in 3 out of the last 5 games, which is fantastic to see, and they do face off against none other than his former team, Minnesota Timberwolves. So it is going to be a very exciting game. Now, when it comes to Minnesota Timberwolves, they do actually rank 10th when it comes to rebounds allowed, and that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. When it comes to the Timberwolves, they do a great job at not only restricting rebounds, but do a great job at restricting rebounds to the big man position, whether it's power forward or center, which is what Karl-Anthony Towns usually plays. So on top of that, when it comes to this matchup, we are expecting a slow amount of pace. Both Minnesota and New York Knicks aren't really fast-paced teams. We are expecting a very slow paced game, and for that reason we definitely and could see Karl-Anthony Towns not get the same amount of volume that we usually see from him coming into this matchup. Now his average over the last 5 is also 13.8, so slightly above this line, but definitely not convincing enough to us. He did have an outlier game against Milwaukee where he had 18 rebounds, but I think that pushed this line a little bit too high, that now there's a lot more value actually to go on the under, especially with the matchup against Minnesota Timberwolves. So for that reason, I definitely would keep an eye out for the under for someone like Karl-Anthony Towns. I see a lot of value there, especially with the matchup against Minnesota. So, you know, Karl-Anthony Towns, 13.5 rebounds for less, I think is a great pick. Now, getting to the next one, we're going to be talking about Zion Williamson. So Zion Williamson, great player. However, this one is for 24.5 points, and this one actually is for less. Now, look at Zion Williamson. We've actually seen him go in the under in 3 out of the last 5 games, and they do face off against none other than the Utah Jazz. Now, Utah Jazz do rank 26 when it comes to points allowed. However, the big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation is that Utah Jazz actually do a really good job at restricting points to the forward position. On top of that, Zion Williamson is, back in action, but what we have seen from him since he has come back is we've actually seen a little bit of a decrease in his usage rate. It hasn't been the same as it has been before, and I think the line is taken into consideration, some big games he had before his little injury that he had, but he is slowly getting back into it. He may still be on restricted minutes, and for that reason, we don't see him having the highest usage rate just yet for this New Orleans Pelicans team, which is why we do very much like the under for this situation here. When it comes to Zion Williamson, again, a big reason for this is that when it comes to Utah Jazz as well, this is not only just a very interesting matchup, but when we look at what the bookies are saying, the bookies also have him favored for the under as well, so that works out in our favor, and for that reason we are sticking to the under for this one and following with what the bookies are saying there. So Zion Williamson, 24.5 points for less, I think is a great pick. Now, getting into the next one, we're going to be talking about another great player, and that is none other than Josh Giddy. So, Josh Giddy in his new team, the Chicago Bulls, has been playing great this season, and this one actually is for points, for 12.5 points, actually, and this one actually is for less. So, when we look at Josh Giddy, we've actually seen him go in the under in 5 out of the last 5 games, and they do face off against none other than the Charlotte Hornets. Now, Charlotte Hornets do actually rank 15th when it comes to points allowed. However, Charlotte Hornets do also rank really well when it comes to restricting points to the guard position, which is what Josh Giddy is. A big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here is due to the fact that Josh doesn't have that high of a usage rate in the points department. We tend to see him score not really intentionally, more if the open shot is there, or if he is given, the ball just under the ring to able to finish it off. So Josh Giddey's play style is definitely not point focused, and for that reason, we definitely see his usage rate not being there enough to see him go on the over. And that's why, as we have seen over the last 5 games, we have seen him go on the under in 5 out of the last 5 games. Now, his average over the last 5 is also 9.4, so significantly under this line as well. So for this reason, when we also look at what the bookies are saying, the bookies also have in favor for the under as well. So all signs really do point towards the under for this one. And for that reason, we definitely are sticking to it for a situation like this. So Josh Giddey, 12.5 points for less, I think is a fantastic pick. Alright, so as you all know, I do want to get these picks out to you as soon as possible, but Prizepicks is delayed with some of their lines, so here are a couple of players you should definitely watch out for when their lines drop. So first player we're going to be talking about is none other than Jaylen Brunson. So Jaylen Brunson has been playing fantastic for the New York Knicks, and the New York Knicks have been doing great, but Jaylen Brunson himself has been averaging 26 points, 3 rebounds, 7.5 assists, while also shooting 48.7% from the field. So he's done a fantastic job, and their next matchup faces off against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, Minnesota Timberwolves do actually rank 4th when it comes to points allowed, 5th when it comes to assists allowed, and 10th when it comes to rebounds allowed. So a very, very interesting one there. Jaylen Brunson, although he is a great player, we actually do see him going on the under in this situation here. When we look at Minnesota Timberwolves, they just rank very, very high in all 3 categories, and on top of that, they also rank high when it comes to restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the point guard position. So for that reason, we definitely see Jaylen Brunson struggling in this game. Although Jaylen Brunson does have a high usage rate, I think a lot of the defensive pressure is going to be on Jaylen Brunson as much as possible, due to the fact that Minnesota Timberwolves, what we tend to see from their defense is to really focus in on stars, hone in, and really restrict them as much as possible. So we expect Minnesota Timberwolves to come out in this game with a little bit more of a different sort of game plan, which will try to stop Jaylen as quick as possible. Now, when we look at the matchup between these two teams, we aren't expecting too much amount of pace as well. Both teams are pretty slow pace, and on top of that, when it comes to the volume of shots, we may see that decrease for someone like Jaylen Brunson. So we may see him have less volume all around, whether it's points, rebounds, and assists. And that's a big reason why we do very much like the under for this situation here. So definitely keep an eye out for Jaylen Brunson's line. I see a lot of value there to go on the under, especially if the line is too close to his averages. So Jaylen Brunson, keep an eye out there. Now, getting to the next player, we're going to be talking about Milwaukee Bucks superstar Damian Lillard. Now, when it comes to Damian Lillard, so far this season, he has been averaging 25 points, 4.4 rebounds, 7.2 assists, while also shooting 45.1% from the field. So he's done a great job for the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Milwaukee Bucks do have themselves a great matchup against none other than the Toronto Raptors. So it is going to be a very exciting game, but when we also look at the Toronto Raptors, we see that they rank 27th when it comes to points allowed. On top of that, moving on actually into assists allowed, we see that the Raptors do rank pretty low as well, as they rank 21st, and then they rank 14th in rebounds allowed. So a little mid to low tier in all 3 categories, and for that reason, this one's kind of a no-brainer to us. We definitely see Damian Lillard going on the over here. When it comes to Lillard, we definitely see his usage rate definitely increase over the last couple of days, or especially the last couple of months, due to the fact that Milwaukee Bucks didn't have the greatest start to the season. They have been able to start stringing along together some wins. If we look at the last 5 games, all or 4 of them have been wins, with 1 game actually losing. But Damian Lillard himself has definitely put on quite a show. He's coming off a game where he had 30 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds. So we definitely see Lillard, putting on a show in this matchup, especially against an easier team like Toronto Raptors that don't really do well on defense. Now, when it comes to Lillard as well, he is a point guard, and Raptors also struggle against restricting points, rebounds, and assists to the point guard position. So, like I mentioned before, I see Lillard being able to take advantage of this. Toronto Raptors, 10-31 record. They haven't really had the best record, and because of that, we definitely see Lillard being able to take advantage of this and going on the over there. But as always, keep an eye out for his line first. If his line is under his averages, definitely look to go on the over. So I definitely see a lot of value there. Now, getting into the next player, we're going to be talking about none other than King James. So LeBron James has been playing great as of lately. He has been averaging 23.6 points, 7.5 rebounds, 8.8 assists, while also shooting 51.1% from the field. So he's done a great job for none other than the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Lakers do have themselves a very interesting matchup against the Brooklyn Nets. Now, as you all know, when we look at Brooklyn Nets, what we also do see is that the Brooklyn Nets, starting off with points allowed, we see that they do rank pretty low as a rank 17th. And moving on into assists allowed, we see that the Brooklyn Nets also do rank, pretty low as well at 22nd in assists allowed, and then rebounds allowed a little bit higher, or very much higher, as a rank 5th. Now, when it comes to LeBron James, we still definitely see him going on the over here, but I would focus a lot more on points and assists due to the fact that Brooklyn Nets do actually rank high in that rebounding category. I think there's more likelihood for someone like LeBron, who also does have a higher usage rate in assists and points, to be able to go over on those two categories. So I definitely would keep an eye out more for those two due to the fact that LeBron James does have a higher usage rate. But on top of anything else, a big reason why we do very much like this as well is due to the fact that when it comes to Brooklyn Nets, they also do struggle against the forward position. Now, we tend to see LeBron play power forward or small forward, but either way, both positions, Brooklyn Nets really do struggle against forwards in general. So we definitely see LeBron being able to take advantage of this. Lakers and Nets, we are expecting a pretty fast-paced game. Nothing really too major, but we should see a good amount of pace from this game, which should lead to a lot more volume for LeBron James to be able to go over on his line. So for those reasons, I definitely would keep an eye out for the over for this situation when it comes to LeBron, especially with the matchup against the Brooklyn Nets.